So I'm going to keep it very brief. What we do is like we developed a product that is like a complete platform for small and medium hospitals and clinics in India. And I specified that this is for India for many reasons, but my idea was to develop a complete platform, like a G Suite kind of a thing for hospitals and clinics. The the first thing what I realized initially when I started this one was like I saw a lot of gap. I mean, there's a lot of unstructured kind of things within this particular thing, and I saw the opportunity and I started this particular thing. The idea was like, see, my problem statement is pretty simple in the sense that when I go to a small and medium hospitals, what was happening is like they were depending on one system to manage their pharmacy, one system to manage their EMR, and another system to build their websites and other things. These were all completely disjointed. So that prompted me to actually start thinking, and then I thought that we should build something like what Gmail did or what a G Suite did, in the sense that G Suite you get everything from Excel sheets or Word documents or everything in one place. You can also create your own websites in G Suite, but they're ugly. But you get the point in the sense that that's where I started thinking and I started developing NeftX, wherein we built the entire platform for small scale hospitals and clinics. Right now, we have 150 plus hospitals and clinics with us, mostly clinics, and about 10 plus hospitals is what we have. So, this is about what I do or what we developed is what I can say. You're not audible.
Sorry. So, I guess, can you mention to us, like, how did you start this company? Like, what was the philosophy behind it? Just the journey of it, basically.
Look, there were. It's a little confusing in the sense that some of them come from my own personal experiences. I mean, when I go to the doctor or when I took some of my family members to the doctors and everything, the problems that I see there and everything else, it motivated me or it told me that okay, there's something not right, in the sense that I've seen people actually carry like big bags of their previous reports and other things. I mean, the doctors don't even have time to go through all these things. I was thinking about if there was a better solution in which a doctor can actually start viewing all the health records and other things. Okay, the biggest challenge was like, you might ask me, I mean, this is not something new. I mean, there are many solutions in the market. Why did you develop it again is the second question. The problem with those in the market is like, what I've observed is like they're either too small or too big. What do I mean by that one is, when I look at some local software solutions, what they did was they addressed only one problem. They started saying that, okay, I'll give you a billing software, I'll give you one EMR software, or something else like that. Okay. When I look at the bigger ones, they developed with a philosophy of like one shirt fits all or one size fits all. Okay, so that did not seem right to me, because a smaller clinic or a smaller hospital, they cannot actually invest so much time learning a software that is that huge. And and the local ones, they don't cater to the solution, in the sense that it's either a billing solution or an EMR solution. So there's complete disjoint solutions. I mean, the front office was entering the same patient like 3 or 4 times. So say that they want to access the entire patient history from billing to EMR records to their other things also. They had to like open like two different applications, search for the patient at both the places, and get the entire picture of what was going on. So I wanted to solve it by saying that, okay, look, there's one system. And the second point is, most of the people in the smaller clinics and other things is like they hire only graduate students, all right, just out of this one BSc or something else. I'm not saying that they're bad, they're very good at what they do, But the problem is, when you look at a complex system, the training part was like taking a lot of time for these guys or for the staff to get trained and other things. So my intention was to actually build. At that point of time, I read an article. I read an article by saying that India digitized only 8% of health records. It seems 92% of health records were not digitized in India. Okay, then I started digging deeper. Then there were many reasons. One reason that caught my attention was something called as brutal UX for digitization of hospital management system. Okay, so that article said that it's so complex that that approximately it seems that a doctor or a staff there has to click at least 4,000 to 5,000 buttons in a day if they're looking after, say, like 75 patients. So I wanted to get a solution that would be easy on UX, easy to understand. And my intention was like, if people can use Instagram, they should be able to use something like a hospital management system. So I wanted to make it that simple, and that is how I started building NeftX.
All right. I guess we can ask some questions now.
Yeah, I had a question. So you mentioned that certain softwares which are too small scale don't really serve the purpose that is being sought, and certain softwares that are much bigger in scale, they have a very one size fits all approach, which
Correct.
again does not solve the problem. So, your company, do you like tailor the software to each hospital's individual needs, or have you figured out the essential core components which are required by every hospital, irrespective of their size, and that is what you cater them with?
Okay, there's no simple answer for this one, but let me tell you, even before I went to the first client, I rewrote my application 18 times. Okay, the idea was like I was using this tech stack. I was trying to get the correct tech stack for all these things. No two doctors function in the same way. I'm going to elaborate a little bit. No two doctors function in the same way. No two specialties function in the same way, and no two hospitals serve the same set of patients. All right. So my challenge was to actually design a flexible system. What we call to answer your question, what we have is something called as themes. What I did is, like I said, that everything is a theme. Every page is a theme. Okay. I'm going to give you 3 or 4 designs. Pick one. Okay, I have a default functioning app, I have a default theme and other things also. Then they can, if they want some customizations or something else, what they can do is they can do it themselves. They can pick a theme and then they can start using it that way.
Okay, so it's a mix of both. Then there is a basic default system which is going to them, and then accordingly they can modify it to tailor it better to their individuals.
Absolutely. See, my philosophy was never to say no to any client that asks me for a feature. So we spent, I at least spent a lot of time designing the tech stack for this particular thing, and then that's how we met. I mean, it took 3 years for us to actually get to get the first version out.
Okay, I guess I have a question. So you mentioned that you're currently focusing primarily on billing and EMR, right?
No, the entire platform.
Entire platform. So, like, can you just mention which functionalities does this entire tech stack provide? Just a list of
Okay.
functionalities.
Okay. What we have is OPD, pharmacy, labs, uh, and then we have IPD, the complete IPD, the insurance connection, and they can launch their own website with a click. We build the entire website builder also that the doctor can actually use it. So in a way, I have everything that a clinic or a hospital needs. As I said, don't I specify the word platform because it has all these modules.
Essentially, like anywhere from a reception to a particular lab it is integrated for and connected with every particular department and office, right?
Yeah, and mine is the only collaborative way, in the sense that if doctor starts entering something, the staff can see it, and the staff, when they start entering something, the doctor can see it. It's like a Google Doc, in the sense that what I did is I made the entire EMR or the billing or the patient life cycle itself as a shared kind of thing. So anybody who does something is visible for everyone.
Okay. Anyone else having any questions that you can ask?
I had one more question. So, since you're dealing with the medical industry, right, the regulations, especially for patient data confidentiality and sensitivity, are much higher. So, how does that affect the tech that you design? Like, what special um, constraints or regulations do you have to take into account in your products to ensure that the patient data confidentiality is well maintained?
See, I'm going to answer it two ways, in the sense that, do you use Practor?
Yeah, I have checked it out a few times.
Practo, MediBuddy, or something else? Do you use them? What do you think they do? In the sense that, see, the patient, I'll answer it this way, in the sense that you book an appointment through Practo, you go to a dermatologist. Okay. Now the dermatologist is going to look at you, and then she's going to say that, okay, you have to get this procedure done. Practo immediately sends you a message by saying that, look, this particular procedure is like very costly in this particular clinic that you're in. There is another clinic like 50 meters from you that does it at a cheaper price. Okay, so the reason why I specify this is not to scold Practo or anything else like that one. That's a different concept. If that is Amazon, I am like Shopify. I don't have any issues with that one. But the concept of patient confidentiality is very good as far as paper is concerned, in the sense that the rules and everything are perfectly done. We actually strictly follow what the MCI says. I can definitely guarantee you that we follow what the MCI says to 100%. Others don't. Okay, so convincing doctors or convincing everyone is the biggest challenge. That's the reason why I'm telling you. I mean, I'm adding a few more points to the answer that you for the question that you asked me. For me, maintaining that one was the biggest challenge. Also, if you remember, the first statement I made is I made this for India. The reason being, if I go out of India, it's much more stricter. Like the HIPAA and the other things are much more stricter. At this point of time, we have everything that India requires, in the sense that we actually encrypt all the patient data. We do not sell the patient data. We do not transfer the patient data from anywhere. Only the doctor, the hospital can set on who can view it. It's largely encrypted.
And if a patient is, let's say, moving from one hospital to another, transferring their medical records from one hospital to another, then that's a whole different thing because each hospital has its own software system. So then all of it, of course, needs to be added again, or do EMRs get transferred from hospital to hospital as well?
There is no question of transfer, in the sense that, see, technically speaking, until the doctor gives you the consent, not just the patient, the doctor has to give you the consent too, along with the patient, to actually transfer that particular data from one place to the other place. But see, the thing is, that would be something like a public health record system kind of a thing. We are not getting into public health record system at this point of time in our company, but the ultimate dream is to become one of the PHRs sometime. These doctors don't want, under these hospitals or whatnot, they don't want their data to be transferred from one place to the other place that easily. Yeah.
Understood.
You mentioned something called PHR. What is that?
Public health records.
Okay, got it. And you also mentioned one thing about how if you take this particular type of technology abroad, there are a lot of restrictions that come, right?
Yeah.
Can you just elaborate more on that?
See, HIPAA is a very confusing thing. Even I tried understanding it a couple of times, but I'll tell you in a way that, in the sense that HIPAA has some rules by saying that, look, where are you storing this data? At the first place, HIPAA is going to ask you where you're going to store this particular data. If I say that I'm storing it in some Google Cloud or Amazon Cloud, they might raise a few issues. In the sense that at the end of the day, it's a cloud solution that you're storing on. And it's not that you cannot store it in Amazon Cloud or Google Cloud. You have to follow a bigger rule set by saying that everything should be encrypted. All right. So that is one easiest way, or that's the core in which it is. It is that way. That's all. Nobody should be able to access it, read it. The read restrictions should be very high as far as HIPAA is concerned. Look,
Yeah.
I'm a doctor, you're a patient. Who can view the records? At the most, you and I. That's all. Nobody else should. Whether it's my app whether it's my app or Google Cloud or Amazon Cloud or any other thing, they should not be able to read it. And within that one, there are many other sub clauses by saying that, look, if you are using artificial intelligence, then do not upload these kind of things into artificial intelligence, or do not start writing all these things. Is something that you need to. And we have already built a lot of artificial intelligence tools within our application, like medicine suggestion, or when a doctor specifies writes all the allergies and other things, right? I mean, and he prescribes a particular drug, we give a warning system too. So what HIPAA says is it's not that simple. You just cannot ping OpenAI or something else to actually get everything. So there are certain restrictions, certain checkpoints. I'm just giving you an example of one of the features that we have developed. Okay, there'll be checkpoints at each point, each of the feature, and it's not like you get up in the morning and then you start writing a new feature with HIPAA. You first of all have to get the approval by saying that, look, I am planning to develop this one, so this is how it has to be, and everything else like that. Yeah.
So essentially, you had to develop that AI technology totally from scratch from your side, right? You couldn't use
Not
any.
really. I mean, as I said, there are certain things. I mean, see, there are ways in which you can be careful over here. What really happens is, suppose you go to a scan or something else, some advanced scans and other things. What they do is they write the patient name, age, details, phone number, contact numbers, and everything, and then create the scan. I mean, the file that the scan stores has all these things. You just cannot submit this particular thing directly into that. What you need to do is you need to encrypt these particular things and then put it there. It's not that you should not use it. The thing is, you have to do a lot of work before you actually start using AI or start submitting it somewhere.
So, from a business perspective, how many years has it been since you started NeftX, and what are the long-term plans moving forward? I mean, you mentioned that becoming a public healthcare record system is a long-term vision, but what would you say are the milestones in getting there from the current scenario?
See, the first thing is India should start digitizing their health records. Definitely. Then you can do a lot of things with that. Okay. So, as far as your first question, I took 2 years to get my first version out. And then I started going for sales. I started getting some feedback and other thing, and it took one more year. Now it is hitting some kind of stability by saying that the number of queries are reducing now. We can now concentrate on the other parts of it. Now that the product, the billing part, or the basic entry of this prescriptions and everything is done, we can concentrate on bigger things of integrating the labs and other things also. We already have labs modules and other things, but we are planning to integrate more on the AI side and other things also. But the thing is, we want to develop something like a prediction algorithm and a clinical workflow kind of a thing. My My immediate goal or immediate milestone is to give hospitals and clinics an ability to develop their own workflow, in the sense that a patient walks in, what should happen, how should it happen, in the sense that what is the quickest way. So what is the infrastructure that they require, in the sense that how many tabs should they buy, how many laptops or how many systems should do they have to have. Okay, where are the vitals being collected, where is the primary diagnosis being done, and then I want to build this entire workflow. These workflows are quite different from doctor to doctor and specialty to specialty. There are many doctors who are very famous and very busy. Okay, now these guys have specific set. They do not talk to the patient initially. What they do is they ask their juniors to collect all the patient history or the medical histories and other things also. So my intention is to build this workflow, a foolproof workflow that they can design by themselves, and the UI will flow that way. They can know at which stage the patient is right now.
Yeah, I have a question. Sir, like what kind of suggestions that you can give from your experience to a individual who want to start a startup, like dealing with the clients involving in the system? Like what kind of suggestions you can give?
See, this is a very hard lesson. What I've learned is like the first thing is team. You have to concentrate and build a team. You just cannot say that you will work without a team. You have to build a team. There's no doubt about it. Okay. So initially, when I started, ChatGPT and everything were not there. So the product management was really tough for me. So the product management, the product analysis is very important. Whether the client or whether this domain really needs this solution or not is the most important thing. Okay, so you have to first of all identify the problem that you're solving, and the second one is the team. As far as the clients is concerned, recently what I have realized is there are clients who don't fit you. Let me be very honest over here, not just in doctors or anything. So instead of wasting your time on clients that don't fit your vision or your solution set, leave them. Better go to clients who actually face this problem, who understand that this is a solution, and then start building your clientele from that. It's not like you wake up in the morning, your intention should not be like, I'm going to close all the hospitals in this line, or suppose you build something else, in the sense that you build something like GitHub. It's not like you sell it to every software company. First of all, realize, or first of all, define who your clients are and stick to them. That's the most important lesson which I've learned. Initially, I used to feel that everyone should be my client. But of late, I've started realizing that apart from getting a good team, apart from building a good product or getting a good solution, the thing is, you should also pick your first set of clients very carefully. The first 100 at least, you should pick them very, very, very carefully. They'll make your product much better than you can imagine. Trust me.
Sir, like what is the process that you have followed to find your clients?
I initially went with the brute force, in the sense that what I did is I scraped Zovocorp. There were like 37,000 contacts is what I got. I started mailing them left, right, center. Then I said I did a few things in LinkedIn. I created some ads and everything else, and then I went from there. Okay, so that initially got me my first set of clients, and a few friends and other people, they started referring some of the clinics that they know. We approached them, and I had a sales team where we went physically to these clinics to start acquiring them, the hospitals and clinics, and started acquiring them.
Yeah, thank you, sir. It's clear.
Okay.
Okay, guys, any more questions from anybody can ask? I just had one question regarding you mentioned something about EMR. I don't know what the EMR is. Can you just elaborate on
Electronic
that?
medical record.
Right, okay, got it. And you also mentioned something about like how you have a milestone of like how you want to give the hospitals the capacity to plan a workflow for themselves
Correct.
from when a patient walks in a hospital. So, what I've personally seen is hospitals or clinics have this kind of a structure already, right? Where they, let's say a patient walks in, they go to where should they go first? Where should they sit? How should they attend the doctors? Where should they walk to attend the doctors? Everything is already structured in a way. So, like, how is your system coming in and improving
No,
this?
see, the thing is, what you're talking about is the physical world. What I'm talking about is the virtual world or the application part of it, right? I mean, see, the thing is, physically they're perfect. There's no doubt about it. But how many people are actually entering it into the systems? How many people are really using this particular? As I told you, only 8% of Indian health records are digitized. Okay, the other 92%, it's fake. I mean, it's all noise. That's all. Okay, so they have this process physically. Now see, if you ask me any application that I see it as is like, there's a physical world, there is, you then convert it into a mathematical world, and then you build your virtual world, which is your application or your system app, right? So the question is like, this physical world, when they're able to structure it so well, why are they not using this particular thing? The only thing is like, they have to click too many things, in the sense that for entering vitals you have to go here, for entering weight you have to go somewhere else, for entering prescription you want to do something else. Okay, and there's no way in that, in the sense that no one knows whether this particular thing has been done for the patient or not, in the sense that, suppose my first intention is like, you first send him to the junior doctor, let her collect, or let him or her collect the entire patient history, and then send him to the vitals room and then do particular things. But how will you know? In the sense that you should not show it, in the sense that, see, if you have a stricter rule, you have to say it like in a stepwise way, in the sense that the patient entered, right now the patient is in the vital collection mode, or in the history section, or in the problem explanation part. Okay, my intention is for them to actually design their own workflows. Okay, it gets more complex, in the sense that then you prescribe your procedure, you say that now go get this test done, you take an ENT guy. Okay, now he'll say that now go upstairs, get your ears checked, or you go into an ophthalmologist, he says that now go over here, check your eyes, get your eyes checked, and stuff like that. I mean, there's nothing, there's no standard rule, but if you really look at it, they all follow a mathematical path. So if we can get that workflow properly, then it would work.
Yeah, I got that.
Personally, I've noticed that this becomes even more important in like a instantaneous sense. Because let's say, you visited today and you're visiting again tomorrow, then there's enough time for the staff to communicate with each other and for them to update each other about what's happening. But if things
Correct.
are happening right then and there in the moment, then the presence of a tech system where they can update each other on in real time, that really helps. Because personally, so a lot of times it can happen that you were, let's say, prescribed a certain medication or a certain treatment plan, and a
Hmm.
change has been made in that treatment plan by the doctor right now, and then the doctor leaves and then the nurse comes in, and the nurse is not aware that the doctor made a change in the treatment plan, and the patient might not have the expertise to communicate that either to the nurse, and then the nurse might continue with the older treatment plan, because that updation of knowledge and that communication cannot happen in real time, because of course they're all very occupied and busy the whole time. So if there's a
Correct.
system where they're updating simultaneously and they can access it simultaneously, it will improve the overall healthcare quality as well.
Absolutely. I mean, see, that is the most important thing, in the sense that, see, that live updates and the state at which the patient is right now. That updation is, see, there is a bigger challenge. I mean, while this is correct, what we're what we're dealing with is health. There are going to be emergency cases. Correct. A patient comes in into emergency. I do not expect the front office to sit and fill these forms first. I mean, you have to attend the emergency case first, else the patient dies. So that's the end of the thing, right? So, but there should be some way or the other by saying that, look, in the runtime itself, if the emergency, the first part of the emergency is done, if they can enter it then and there itself, then it would be nice. Is something what I felt. I mean, the workflow system is also like good for only 80% of the cases. I mean, emergencies are other things. No, it's not going to happen. And the basic point, the other point why I developed NeftX is also like what I felt was like this democratization of this particular technology is what is lacking as far as India is concerned. As far as the doctors and the hospitals is concerned, what they need is a tool set. They don't want us to do miracles with our softwares. What they want is a tool set that they can actually design themselves. In the sense that no two doctors work in the same way. I mean, I agree completely. Also, I mean, some follows one structure, other follows other structure. Should be fine. Yeah.
You also mentioned something about predictive algorithms, right? That in the long run, you would want to implement those as well. So what kind of predictive algorithms are we talking about?
Look, uh, the first predictive algorithm would be based on what the symptoms are or what the primary diagnosis is. The system should at least give the suggestion of this could be the issues. Sometimes even doctors need an assistant. I mean, I use ChatGPT a lot while coding. It's not that I can't code, but I use it for many reasons, and it's like an assistant for me. So I, by predictive itself, what I mean to say is like, given something, if you can say that okay, this could be the reason or this could be the reason, given the entire history, just in case, just imagine that there is a chronic condition of diabetes or something else. Say that the patient has this diabetes for 10 years. Doctors generally call people at least 6 months. Okay, every 6 months this patient has to go there. Now just imagine the number of times the patient has gone in the 10 years, and then he develops a particular condition or something else, right? So there should be some indication. I mean, the doctor is not going to open the entire file of this big and then start searching for what happened on 12th of last year or 14th of this month or something like that, right? If it can say by saying that, look, on Jan 15th of 2023, this happened, then you did this, and now it's happening again. So these kind of things, if it can help, it would be great. The second thing is, it can also say that the same thing happened to an ex-patient, to another patient. This is how you treated him. Both these conditions are pretty similar. Now this is what has happened and this is how you treated him. So you might try the same thing, is something that it can suggest. That is the intention behind that predictive analysis or predictive suggestions.
I have one more question. Sir, can you elaborate your experience on dealing with your first client? Because it's very important, the first client, to convince the first client. So, what is your experience on that?
First of all, you have to go with the mindset that he is the god. Okay, so I mean it literally. Keep it simple. See, there are two ways of solving. I mean, approaching or everything. One is a rule book. The other one is first principles. I follow the first principles in the sense that keep it simple. You tell this particular thing to your first client that you are the god. Whatever you say, I'll get it. That's it. Do something or
Okay.
the other, make him use it. That's all. See, it's not like you made a useless product. I'm not saying that if it's a useless product, I'm not. See, if I am into sales, my intention would be to sell. So even if you give me a useless product, my first intention would be to say that you are the god. This will solve all your problem. Launch it. That attitude should be there. You cannot overthink by saying that this is a useless product. You should not get too emotionally attached to the product or to the client itself. It's better that keep it simple and then sell it.
Yes, sir. Clear.
The other thing, what I've seen is like, since you spoke about sales, right? I trained my sales by saying only one thing. You know this Colgate toothpaste ad, right? I mean, that girl comes and says that क्या आपके toothpaste में नमक है, correct? So that's the punchline. So I asked my sales guys to do the same thing. Instead of asking them if your toothpaste has salt, the point is like what I've observed is my sales team were asking, "Do you use a toothpaste?" I mean, there's a lot of difference. When you go to your first client, you should be prepared. Do not enter the client until you know what you are selling and what he wants, right? So this is the most important thing that you have to keep in mind. Be prepared. Apart from saying that the client is God, you should be prepared by saying that you have to prove that he's the God. It's your responsibility. So just don't walk into the clinic or hospital. First of all, do a research. You can just open Google, see whether they have a website or something else. See whether patients are able to book an appointment. See whether they're using any software or anything. Because outside you do not know. I mean, whether they're using a hospital management system or not. You have to make a list of all your competitors. In my case, HealthPlex, Practore, and other things were my competitors. I make a story for each one of these things. When I enter, I first of all ask him if they are using any software. When they say HealthPlex, I have my story ready. I say that, look, HealthPlex cannot do this, or HealthPlex cannot get you multiple session procedures. We have it. How hard is it? I mean, you're wasting this much amount of time, right? So that's how I make the pitch then and there itself.
All right. I guess I just want one last question. So, uh, when you started this business, and let's say when it started scaling up, right? When you got more and more clients, how did your management change? Like, how did you take change towards assessing each of these clients? Or let's say, how did your tech stack change in any way? Like, what are the things that changed? What are the metrics that you were introduced, I guess, into the play once you had started getting traction and scaling up?
Can you repeat the last part of the question? What exactly do you want to know? I mean, how did I
Yeah,
pick my clients, or what did I learn?
once you started getting some traction, like basically by getting traction, I mean once you started getting more and more clients, right? Like
Correct.
what all aspects did change? Like is it from the technical aspect, from the internal workforce aspect, the managerial aspect? What all things changed?
Hard to say it in one line. I mean, I had to do a lot of trial and error in the sense that uh, I was able to understand what the client was asking me, but the communication channels were like completely messed up within my system or within my company. Okay, so managing these kind of things is something I learned very slowly. So see, the initial stages is like I'll tell you. I mean, what changed is like my first client asked for a feature or a feature enhancement. Okay, what I've realized is at that point of time we were all working from in an office. Right now we're working from home. But what I realized was like, do you know this Udupi hotel wherein when you go sit on on a table, the waiter comes, takes your order, and he shouts to the uh, 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 chef by saying that get one masala dosa to table number 10, right? So in the same way, when the client asked me for an enhancement, my sales team was shouting that way. I mean, that is what I realized is like, am I running a software company or am I running a Udupi hotel? Is the first question I asked myself. That is when I started building my own CRM system and the entire structure, right? A bad way to compare, but that's the truth. See, every startup goes through this one. I mean, they build this particular thing, then they get into this Udupi hotel mode where the client asks you something, everybody is yelling, okay, and then you build the systems one by one. So my suggestion, the one thing that I've learned is like, do not overthink, do not overplan. First of all, try and identify what the issue is, and then solve it one by one.
Yeah, got that. I guess we can have some reflections also now from if some people who have listened to it. I guess Jairaj, we can start with you.
Yeah, I have learned many things. It's very insightful discussion. Basically, I have learned about uh, the startup that the SAR is running about digitalizing the hospitals and
Don't call
providing
me sir.
the yeah, Mr. Srinivas
Just
startup.
Srinivas.
Yeah, Srinivas startups. It's really a nice idea providing digitalizing the hospitals and providing services to them, uh, and also learn more about how to deal with the clients during the starting stage of the company, and enhancing solving the problems on by going understanding the client's problem and providing the solution. And the first set of clients are really very important for us because they are the one who is going to give us that improvement to the startup. And also learn that when we are going to a client, like we need to be very confident, be prepared, and create a punchline research about the client so that there is high chance of getting that client. Yeah, this is what I learned. It's a very insightful discussion. Thank you, sir. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Srinivas.
Okay, that's too formal. I mean, you follow the rule book. Say something that you liked and you did not like. It's impossible that you like everything. I mean, I'll be very frank. I'm in a sales mode right now, so I'm very frank at this point of time.
Yeah, like personally, if I were to add my reflection into this, I believe like when think of this, we don't really think about like just I'm talking from just from a patient's perspective. If I go to a hospital or a clinic, I go through the entire process. I go through the reception. I sit in a chair. Then after that, then somebody tells us, okay, go to room number 5. Doctor is waiting for you, and I go and have my discussion over there. But we don't really think about what happens in the back end. Like what kind of system is there? Like you mentioned to us that how there is a very huge need of digitization of all documentations and everything in the
There's
medical.
no system.
Okay, right.
There's no system. I mean, see, the thing is, you might have gone to hospital at least once, right?
Yeah.
Have you gone to AIG anytime?
AIG, no, like not AIG as
To tell you
specific.
something, for a very small thing, that day I was tracking the number of steps. Okay, within AIG, I had to travel like somewhere around 18,000 steps. But just imagine that I'm the patient, I'm going to die there. There is no system there. See, if there is a system, things would have been a lot better. The problem is, according to the rule, every 1,000 population should have one doctor. How many do we have? You can't blame the hospitals and clinics too. I'm stopping you for that reason, in the sense that until they digitize, they speed up, it's impossible.
I guess like you mentioned like how these kind of tools that also about like which can aid doctors also in assessing patients, especially patients who have had a huge medical history, right? So assessing their conditions, pinpointing and also pinpointing certain conditions can be very hard in scenarios where
Mm,
there is no digitized platform or system or technology available. It is
mm,
not like it is causing any hindrance per se right now, like it is causing hindrance, but that hindrance is not something we really not that much how do I say it? Not that much apparent to us. We don't really appreciate or rather judge about that particular aspect. We just the current system we have only seen that system. We don't go
No,
beyond it.
no, it's not like that. What really happens is, I'm just going to keep this one very short. Okay. I spoke to a friend of mine. He's a doctor. Okay. When I asked him what is the difference between what US does and what India does, he put it very simply by saying that in US, it's more like an approach based. In India, it's gut based. So when you go there with fever, the doctor's going to give you one medicine. If it doesn't work, then he's going to change it. That's it. Else, if the doctor says that no, go get this test done, you would say that the hospital is robbing me. There's a problem with the patients and India itself. The doctor is trying to do a few things by saying that, look, I'm going to follow the approach. I just get this test done. And every patient in India would say that the doctor is robbing me. He's unnecessarily writing this test. Right?
Yeah.
So the education, that's a different problem. I mean, if somebody can write an app to solve that problem through AI, that would be an amazing thing. I'm telling you. So that's not something which I'm looking at this point of time. Maybe down the line, yes.
All right. You can take one more
Yeah.
reflection.
Yeah, I think my experience is the opposite of Sagnik's. When Sagnik mentioned, right, when he goes to a hospital, he doesn't think about what goes on in the back end. When I go to a hospital, I am always very anxious about whether or not they remember the things I told them the last time I came. Like if I'm visiting and there was a different doctor the last time and now there is a different doctor. So one thing that's constantly going on in my mind is this doctor aware of the updates I shared with the last doctor? Or even if the doctor is the same, does the doctor remember what I told them the last time, or do I have to tell them again? So I think having a structured system becomes really important, because a lot of times what happened with me is, they assign you some, they give you some medications. The medications may or may not work. Sometimes you might even end up having side effects, or the issue with real time communication where the doctor has made some changes but the nurse is not aware of it, and so she's continuing with the pre existing treatment plan. So I think
Hmm.
those things, they are very minor things in the grand scheme of things, but they are very major things from a patient's perspective, because they really affect the experience of the patient. Like, do I worry about my own health, or do I worry about what approach the doctor is taking as well? So as a patient, that shouldn't be your concern. As a patient, you should only be focused on resting and have that trust in the staff that they know what they're doing. But I
I
think that is something that we can't do in the absence of a proper system. So in that sense, the system becomes very important. And another major takeaway for me is that in general, across industries, any new product either caters to one of the extreme ends, like either at a very hyper specific localized level, or at a very grand, one approach fits all level. But there is a very big section in the middle that often goes unnoticed. So that is the section that you are sort of catering to, with personalizing and tailoring it to them according to their requirements and needs. So even in any other industry apart from healthcare, I think that middle section, which does not want a very grand scale product but is also not uh, able to meet its needs with a very localized approach, I think that is a very major untapped section in any industry for any new product to think about when creating something new.
All right. Uh, I guess that brings us to the end of the session. This was a very insightful discussion. Thank you, Mr. Srinivas.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
So can we close this now?
Yes, we can close the meeting.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, guys.